Instacart shoppers know groceries. They know that you can't make guacamole with rock-hard avocados. They know how to quickly find those peanut butter pretzels you can never find. And they keep you in the know by giving you updates about your order along the way. Let Instacart shoppers help take shopping off your plate so you can get time and energy back for what really matters. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply. Instacart. Add life to cart.
Percolate on a particular mix of odd and inspiring news headlines in Wendy's Coffee House. Newsmakers with a penchant for the unknown, unexplained, and unusual share their experiences with UFOs, ghost encounters, near-death experiences, and more for your own unique blend of Wendy's Coffee House Curious. And now, here's Wendy.
Oh, yes. Winding down on 2019. It's gone so fast and so much has happened. It's hard to condense it all into even, a paragraph, let alone a sentence. But I think a shift they've been talking about this forever, and that's probably the best way. Upgrade is my word. This year has really been extraordinary in terms of things that are unusual and odd, making mainstream headlines. We're talking about the UFO stuff. And then most recently, D. Prasad, he's a quantum physicist, and on Thanksgiving weekend says, well, I got something to tell you about my encounter back in February. I know it has a potential to blow my credibility. Well, but for some of us, the credibility just went up because it gives a little bit more, I think, credibility, period, to the fact that anybody can have these kinds of experiences. It isn't a certain faction that owns the UFO community or the Enlightenment community or the angel community. It's out there. It's here with us, and we are part of it. So as each one of us encounters one of these really cool and mind-blowing events, then we tell others, and that sometimes upgrades them. One of the things that I had been doing along the course of the way, somebody sent me the book, The Penetration, the new one, Ingo Swann. I'd already had it when it was free, available for download years ago before he died, because he said, people have to have this. You can't just withhold it, because the only way for people to grow and evolve is to have access to things that might change their sense of reality and their ability to tap into that. And so I had that, and then they upgraded it recently with a little bit more info and a revision. So when somebody, I have no idea who, sent it to me, I started working. Then I branched over to Alex Tanis, and Alex Tanis was an incredible psychic. Then I had a dream where Alex Tanis comes up to me and hands me a couple of things. I won't go into all that here, but when I connected with the Alex Tanis Foundation, they gave me the kit. And the kit included a tape video that says, and he's referencing dreams, when someone who is deceased comes to you in a dream, that's a transmission of information. Now, it usually is somebody you know. It's not like I'm having a dream about Brad Pitt or something, some big superstar out there somewhere, Hugh Jackman. No. This is when a relative or somebody close, like if you're studying the book on Ingo Swann, and I was studying the book on Alex Tanis, he came to me and gave me a gift. Well, so then I contacted the foundation, and they said, well, by the way, here's more info, because they're upgrading and expanding all the info on him. And there we go. So these are connections, but they also may be assisted by a divine messenger, an angel, your spirit guardian. And so that's why at this wonderful time, we're going to get into angels. And my angel expert is on the line, ready to sick his angels on us in a good way, Kyle Gray. And Kyle, since childhood, has had a wonderful connection, basically knowing a little bit more than some, that we aren't just this body, and that there are other things around us that are helping us, assisting us, and I guess enlightening us. It might be a good word too. Kyle, thank you. I'm thrilled to see that you have such a great following, and you're so diverse.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for welcoming me onto your show.
Okay, I know we're going to get the book Angel numbers, but for anybody listening, how did you start? What happened? I know when you were a kid that you had a connection with your grandmother. Can you give us a backstory?
Right. Yeah, the backstory. So I've always been a very sensitive kid, and it all started when I was about 3.5. I got a really bad cold, a flu, and then it turned into an autoimmune virus called Guillain-Barré syndrome. And for about 7 to 8 months, I was paralyzed in a wheelchair. And my grandmother was also in a wheelchair at the same time. We were all living under the same roof. And we created just such a strong bond and connection because we spent every single second of every single day together. And then after several months of, going through the whole challenge of having the virus, my body naturally started to improve, and I was able to learn how to walk again. In time for school starting, you start school at 4.5 years old in Scotland. And I remember this week so clear in my mind. I remember just getting this Ninja Turtles lunchbox. I remember my grandmother was in hospital at this time, and a neighbor called Margaret was looking after me. And I went to bed as normal, woke up through the night, and my grandmother had come home. And she came into my room and she tickled my back. And I remember just falling asleep, feeling so loved. And then the next day when I had told my mum what had happened, I said, "Where's Nana? She came home last night." And she was like, "What do you mean she came home?" And I was like, she came into my room and she tickled my back. And I went back to sleep. And it turns out actually that night my grandmother had actually passed away.
Yeah.
So there had been this real opening up to the unseen. And I had so many questions about it. But at the same time, I was also really sad because I was brought up in a home where I went to Sunday school every single week. And I'd always learned that heaven is a place that you go to and you don't see who goes to heaven until it's your time to go there. So I was like, if she's in heaven, how could I have seen her?
Yeah.
And it was a question that really just, forgive the pun, haunted me my whole childhood.
That is what is so powerful. And I was so because when I get ready to do an interview, the funny timing on this was I was into that dream
Right.
Well, it's a video, and I thought, isn't that great? Because he had appeared to me in the dream, giving me a message, and then following up on that, I get this packet, and the day before I interview you, it says, when a relative, somebody close, a mother, father, sister, brother, appears in a dream, that's communication. So, having that available from the time you were little and trying to figure out how that worked in, when did it finally click that you were seeing things that were your reality?
So it was a bit of a struggle. It was a bit of a struggle from there to teenage years because so that same week, my grandmother passed away. My father had an affair with my mother. I started school and my mum had a bit of a nervous breakdown, and there was just like this whole week of trauma. And I really believe that heightened my sensitivity even more.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing happened. I got this headache, this like migraine headache that started then and would be with me for 11 years. And every single night I'd go to bed and I'd feel like I was being watched. I'd feel like I was, something was watching me, but I couldn't figure out what.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of trickled through life. And, after several visits to the doctor about the headache and about these experiences, the doctor came to the idea that I had been affected by E-numbers.
Oh.
And he told my parents that this is a common thing. This is E-numbers affecting your child's mind.
Okay.
And he told my parents to take me off all E-numbers, all chocolate, all cheese, all of that stuff. And when they did it, my headache not only got worse, but also so did my sensitive experiences.
Oh.
So they actually put me back on E-numbers. because it was in some way making it easier. It was I don't know how you say it, but it was I suppose
Yes,
suppressing
alleviating.
my psychic abilities. Yeah. So then I went all the way through my life just kind of never really fitting in. Every single report card would say Kyle's a dreamer, Kyle's in his own world,
Yeah.
All these tests for ADHD, ADD, like dyslexia. I'd never really came under one bracket. And then I got to my teenage years and Buffy the Vampire Slayer came on TV.
Oh, hold on. Let's take a break. Okay, this is a good place to stop with Buffy because that's fantastic. Okay, so yeah, that's a good one. All right, so stop because that was an excellent show. We're talking with Kyle Gray. Angel Numbers, it's the book. Okay, but he's got others, and we're going to talk about more about the attraction, reflection, what happens with angel cards, and we're going to come back with Buffy. It's KCMO Talk Radio, Wendy's Coffee House. Wendy's Coffee House, KCMO Talk Radio. You can check out the blog, wendyscoffeehouse.com, because I'll put links and stuff to the show on that and others. It's UFO, haunted, whatever, ghosts, just anomalies. Gary Larson's cartoons coming back on. That'll be on there. Yeah, it's all across the board. Angel Numbers is the book. Kyle Gray is the messenger. And real quick to clarify before we get into Buffy, the E numbers, you said they took the E numbers off, which made it worse, and then they put them back on to alleviate it. But what are E numbers, the translation for us in the U.S.?
An E number is like an artificial preservative or like a color additive that you put in like candy or chips or, soda. So back in the 90s, the 80s and 90s, E numbers was like a huge buzzword for the medical industry, and they put a lot of things down to that being damaging to your health.
Okay.
And again, I suppose it's still a big thing now, right?
Yeah. Well, everybody's to each his own. We seem to have different in terms of allergies. We're not cookie cutter. Okay, so with that, that didn't work. But you tuned into Buffy, and Buffy
right.
is
so
your
Buffy
angel.
The Vampire, right. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer came on TV, and finally I found my people. There was just this instant soul recognition that I had finally found my people.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had always been interested in like the unknown and the unseen. And Buffy came on TV, and there was a pathway,
Yeah.
and it really sent me down this deep inquiry as to what is happening in this universe. Is there more than we can see? And it really sent me down the line of looking into magic and crystals and earth energy.
Yeah.
And eventually, I'd been going to Sunday school at the same time as well. So I was brought up in my own family are loosely Christian, but my mum's sister growing up was like newborn Christian. So I went to like that Sunday school, my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it as long as I live. I got into magic because of Buffy, and my Sunday school leader had said to me, Kyle, it's God or Buffy. And I was like, well, I choose Buffy.
Okay, Buffy has, an enlightenment factor that is just a little bit different and has, I think, more novelty along that with, you have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, obviously. Okay, so you've got the Buffy poster. We said that off the air. The Buffy poster is there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a huge, gigantic Buffy poster in my living room.
Okay.
And, but yeah, I got to this, and my family friend had said to me, Kyle, I know you're interested in crystals and energy. Have you ever considered angels? And I was like, well, I've never really looked into angels because it's quite a Christian idea. And they're like, no. Angels are more than that. Angels are beyond religion. Why don't you come upstairs and I'll do your angel cards for you?
Mm-hmm.
And we went up to her bedroom, and she pulled out the velvet bag and all that. And there was just a sense of magic in the air, and we picked the cards. And the first card I picked was this word that said synchronicity. And I didn't even know what the word would mean. I had to Google synchronicity.
Yeah.
And
Thank God for Google. Yes, there you go.
yeah, exactly. I'm a millennial, really. I Google everything, and I learned that synchronicity really meant something special was happening, or like in a perfect time space sequence.
Yes.
And so overnight, I started to research the idea of angels, and I learned very quickly that angels really loved to help the earth, and that they were these non-religious, divine, intelligent beings that were really dedicated to the well-being of the earth. And I learned that if you were to ask them, they could help you. And my instant response was, I need to get rid of this headache that I had had since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And my prayer was something along the lines like, angels, if you're really there, thank you for healing my headache. And I remember the next day, just my headache completely vanishing, just gone. And I remember telling my mum, and she's like, what? Really? Because obviously I'd been this, I call it a migrainist my whole life. I had spent years of my life just missing days at high school because I couldn't see with this migraine.
Yeah.
And so I just had this instant healing, and it really propelled me on. I was like, okay, I was a teenager. I want to learn everything I can about angels. And I would spend every lunch hour at school in the library reading books on spiritual laws and angels. And I formed a really strong bond with my religious studies teacher in school who was a Buddhist. And we would meet at lunchtime and go over books and use angel cards. And then that summer, I remember being invited to a family friend's barbecue with my mom, and she said, why don't you take your angel cards with you? You can practice doing some readings on some people there.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And my mom was really encouraging because she just thought it was a phase.
He'll get over it. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
She's like, he's just like into this thing. He's into Buffy and magic and crystals and angels. And, she just thought it was a phase. She's like, bring your cards. You can. And what really made her happy was the fact that I finally found something I was interested in.
Yes.
And so I remember being at this family friend's barbecue, and I was going to do a reading on this gay couple separately. And the first guy got his, and he thought it was okay. And then the second guy was like, okay, I'm not really interested in this, but I'll give it a shot. And, of course, his reading was the one that was life-changing for everyone. And during the session, I said, just put your hands on the cards. Just think about anything you would like support on. And as we both just meditated for a second, I started to hear another pop culture reference.
Yeah.
Destiny's Child playing in my mind, the song Survivor.
Ah.
And I was like, can you hear that? And he was like, hear what? And I mean, we're sitting outside. It was a summer's night,
yeah.
at a picnic bench in a garden. And I was like, I can hear Destiny's Child Survivor. And he's like, what does that mean? And I was like, well, I feel like you are in some way to get a message from this. And then I said this prayer that changed my entire life forever. I said, if there is an angel here, thank you for revealing your presence to me. And it was like being frozen in the chair. A pinpoint of utter light started to move towards me. It was like watching The Matrix. It was moving so fast, but yet so slow.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, behind this man was this gigantic, elongated, humanoid being made of complete golden light. And they had these eyes that were as black as the night sky. And I heard this message dictated in my mind: tell this man he is the survivor. And I then said,
yeah,
there's an angel standing behind you, and it wants you to know that you're a survivor.
We're going to have to take a break. Okay, so hang on. The survivor. And just to throw this in for synchronicity, as Kyle's talking, I'm watching my time, the clock. I have to make sure I hit the brakes and this news. And as he's saying, thank you for healing my headache to the angel. He's saying a synchronicity. I'm looking at the clock. The moment he says that, it says 44444 all across the board. That's synchronicity. Those are angel numbers. My guest, Kyle Gray, angel expert, and we're going to find out more about this transformative experience, because once your mind goes there, your soul is right behind, and your life is all of a sudden supercharged. Okay? So, and we're going to find out more about how anybody at any time can connect with their angels. Little holiday cheer. Wendy's Coffee House, KCMO Talk Radio. Taking a break. Wendy's Coffee House, KCMO Talk Radio. Little holiday. That's so perfect, so beautiful. And I love the angelic choir part. Man, I can't digress and go into that, but I had one of those lately, and it was like, oh, the energy that comes through when you're connected on that level is there's no language for it. So okay, so I can kind of, I'm not in the moment that you were, but this is one of those things that there's no coming back. Once that angel, and my guest is an angel expert because of his experiences. Kyle Gray, the book, the new one, is Angel Numbers, but there's also angel cards. There's also a lot more stuff with this. We're just touching the tip of the iceberg. So you're describing the angels. So step back real quick. This is the first time you've done a reading or readings because your mom said, hey, give it a shot. And all of a sudden you have this break where you're connected. What was it like to see the angel?
You know, it was like this feeling of being wide open, and I'd done angel card readings before that, but not like this. This was completely different. They were just me saying, you know, this is that card and this is that card. But this time, I finally had this telepathic connection with this being that was giving me such clear information. And you know, the only way I can describe it was this feeling of being completely naked. There was nothing that I could hide. Everything was out in the open. All the shields had dropped. And the angel was so clear. It just said in my mind, tell this man he is the survivor.
Okay.
And I was like, there's an angel behind you, and it wants you to know that you are a survivor. And he then said, what do you mean I'm a survivor? And I said, well, it feels to me that, you know, in some way you've wanted to leave the earth and you are being kept here for a reason. Mm. And he flipped out. He completely lost his mind. He's like, this is far too much. This is to the bone. I need to stop this immediately. And the angel just disappeared into the air.
Yeah.
And he bolted.
Whoa.
And it was later on that evening, my mum got a call from her friend who had hosted the party. And it turns out this man had actually tried to take his own life several times in his life.
Yeah.
And every time, you know, he was to do so, something went wrong. And it was like he was being saved. And that's when, you know, my whole kind of world changed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So was there a backstory beyond that? Did he ever come back, or was that was?
Oh, so I'm still in touch with him now. You know, this was his partner kept in touch. We're still Facebook friends. We were speaking last week, actually.
Uh-huh.
So this. I mean, I'm talking. This is nearly 17 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. This is when the angels landed.
This is when the angels landed. And, you know, I don't know about, I mean, I'm sure you know what it's like. When you live in a small town, word can spread like wildfire. And so, like, overnight, my mum started receiving phone calls to the house. Like, is your son the boy who can see angels? Can I see him? Can I speak to him? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was like, Mum, this feels like this is something I want to follow through with. That I feel like this is the reason I've been put on the earth. And she was like, oh my goodness,
yeah.
You know, this is too much to take in.
Let's just go baby steps.
Yeah, and I went back to school after that summer, and then just before winter, I walked out.
Yeah.
I'm a high school walkout, as I call it. And I had really wanted to get into religious studies school and, become a teacher. And I was the only whole person in my whole year that had applied to do that. And at the time, they couldn't do anything for me. And I had started just doing other things. And I had a bit of an altercation with a teacher who said I was an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it happens.
These things happen. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm leaving. I'm walking out. And I ended up getting a job in a hairdresser, sweeping up hair. But it was the best job ever because I was able to hang around with lots of women who were open-minded, and I would practice doing angel readings on them.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then by the following year, I then applied for a government-based funding to start my own spiritual business, and I was given the funding.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Which was amazing. So I really felt like every time I've tried to do something that's not angelic, sometimes it's a bit of work, and there's a bit of slog behind it. But whenever I try to do something for the angels or with the angels, it always just aligns. It just happens.
Yeah.
And, that's when I always like, okay, there's definitely something in this. And, so I started doing private angel readings at 17 years old professionally. And within my first month of business, I had about an 8-month wait list for a private session. So it really guaranteed that my business idea was working.
Yes. Okay. So with that, there are some things that you give out. I've seen 2 or 3 presentations where you talk about, and I think this is really helpful, the protection and that spiritual protection that everybody has. And so like when you're dealing with resistance from somebody and you need to clear that out or push that back from your space, I love the way you said, don't immediately put that circle of light around you, because what you do is you trap everything that's already there in. So there's like a rinse.
Cling wrap.
Yeah. That I thought was really helpful. Anybody can use that. Could you, I got 2 minutes before we're going to take a break, but can you kind of give that, because that's wonderful advice.
There's a lot of thoughts out there about the power of the mind and being able to protect yourself. And for me, I really distinguish between protecting yourself and spiritual protection, where you ask for a greater power to do it for you. But I've always noticed that people often forget to call on protection, and then they do it after they've experienced a lower vibration or an energy that makes them feel uncomfortable. And unless you ask for that to be cut from you first, often what you're doing is you're putting a seal around you and that negative story or experience, and it's kind of like cling wrapping it in.
Yeah.
So I always say ask for that to be cleared first before then you ask for protection, and then you'll be free.
I love the way that comes out, because it's like they're little dust bunnies, whatever around you. And so to acknowledge first that you might have picked up a little flotsam and that needs to go away. And in order to do that, just release it and, ask the angels to help you, and then put that protection, that element. To me, it's like giving yourself a boost. You're boosting that inside out and, acknowledging that that's part of it.
Exactly.
What we have to do is take a quick break. There's so much going on with you that when people see you, the visuals I've seen, those are extraordinary tattoos. Okay, that's just the arms there, the biceps. It's like, wow. Okay, so I want to ask you the backstory in this next break to find out a little bit more about that. And then you also have a shoe collection, right? So just the uncommon, the footwear is one of the things that sets you apart. Walking the walk. So
exactly.
Okay, so we're going to come back in a minute or two here. Kyle Gray is my angel expert. Your angel expert too. Angel numbers. Okay, we have to address a few numbers here. We'll do that in the next break. It's Wendy's Coffee House on KCMO Talk Radio. Yeah, here we go. Got to sing along. I love this. Okay. Yeah, all right. This is a seasonal cheer. Angels are known for being cheery during the holidays. At least the angels I know. The golden angel that Kyle saw has to be like all year. That's a sunshine angel. Kyle Gray is my angel expert, and Angel Numbers, the book. I totally forgot focusing on the angel the last break to bring up that fact that the 4444. When he was during the break, I'm having to monitor the clock to make sure we're not going over the news break, hitting the right thing. And what I'm looking at as he's saying the words, "Thank you for healing my headache," I'm watching the clock go 44444. And oh my gosh, the sequence. So there's the number thing. There's the synchronicity that goes with that. Okay, so we're gonna now we're gonna bring the numbers back. But then I said, what about the tattoos and what about the shoes? So Kyle, like I'm throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you. Pick one.
Right. I mean, where do we start?
Okay, those
I
tattoos.
think one of them, let's talk about, I think we live in this world where we often get an image or an idea in our head how something should look.
Yeah.
And for me, I really believe that one of the great opportunities I've been given in this life is being able to teach from a place that feels authentic to me and which is also probably very different from the norm.
Yeah.
And, like a lot of angel experts or angel people in times gone past have been dressed in like velvet purple. And, and that's just never been me. I'm, like such a, I don't know how I would put it, but I love sneakers and I love tattoos and streetwear and street style. It's always been a thing for me. And so, yeah, I've been getting tattoos since I was a teenager, and I am covered in tattoos.
Well, you have
Tattoos.
the female images that I saw. I wasn't sure if one was your grandmother or your mother. I wasn't sure or if they were angelic. Those were the ones I was curious about.
It's all saints and deities I've collected. So it's all different divine beings and a few animals all over me. So, yeah, I've got different images. I've got, like, an Archangel Gabriel, the Black Madonna, Mother Mary, Tara, and lots of other people like Krishna and Hanuman. So I've always been interested in the study of religion and spirituality across the board. So yeah, all my tattoos are to do with that. I've also got a fox and a wolf tattooed on my hand.
Wow. Yeah.
Which was my 30th birthday present from my parents.
It's like, okay, he's serious. He's really serious. Let's do this.
So funny.
Well, and I don't know. It's beautiful. The body art is really beautiful. So I knew that the icons, that there might be something represented. And especially, visuals, that's our way of presenting who we are. And yours, the authenticity of that, saying this is my specialty. This is where I focus, and I just think that's a very natural and unique part of you that speaks to your own truth. So I'm in every way appreciative that you are comfortable and saying this is who I am. Come on, and that means everybody, no matter who we are. It doesn't matter how we look. This has absolutely nothing to do with looks. You are connected with the divine in every way, shape, and form, just because you're here. That's what this is about. So I like that.
And that's what I really love about my work, especially, since, because I work with Hay House, the publishing house, and something that I've really noticed is a lot of my events, there's diversity across the board, that I'm really grateful for.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just a me thing or, I don't know, just like all different types of people, everything, every kind of person you could imagine have come to my events, from like the transgender community, to all different people from different backgrounds and religions. And it's always been it's always made me feel so grateful, because that's the key message of an angel, is that no one is forgotten.
Yeah.
No one has been forgotten, and we're all loved. And I think that if we could all embrace the love that's available to us, then I think we could also then align our lives and our decisions from that place too.
Well, what we have here, the book, and this is just the recent one with the angel numbers, the significant thing about the numbers, how can somebody implement that immediately, just from walking out wherever they are today in the world?
Right. So let's talk, the angels throughout time have always found different ways to get in touch, and, signs and omens have always been a really exciting topic within, paranormal culture and spiritual culture. And I really believe that the divine has seen us and witnessed us spending so much time behind digital screens. And that's why I think they've started to get in touch through a digital means. And it all started for me seeing 1111, this number
Yeah.
sequence. I was seeing it absolutely everywhere I went. And I'd read so much different ideas around what this number meant, but I remember actually just asking in meditation. That's the place I go when Google doesn't give me the answer I feel is right. And
Yes. Okay, fine.
so I went into meditation, and I just said, God and angels, thank you for revealing to me the true meaning behind 1111. And I was instantly transported to a bundle of different images. I saw Jesus. I saw, the Buddha. I instantly saw Muslim friends praying towards Mecca. I would see Bob Marley, and then I heard Bob Marley's song "One Love" being played, and then that's what I got. That the 1111 is actually the message of one. You are one, 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 one. That's what 1111 is. It's a call to action, a reminder to us all that we are one with the world and the universe, and so therefore we can in some way bring about change, bring about healing, and also be a positive influence in the world.
Okay. Now, you do more than just 111 in the book, okay? Just so.
Right. Yes, definitely. And so after 1111, I started to notice that there was a vibrational scale with numbers, that each single number had a vibration behind it that could lead to a particular message. And so that when you take like 101, 1 is the number of oneness, 0 is the number of God in your beginnings, and then 1 again is the number of oneness. So if you get 101 showing up in your life, it's kind of like yourself being sandwiched between you and the divine.
Oh.
And so it says, it's a message of I am one with the divine, or you are one with the divine. And so I noticed that everywhere I would go, there would be like a key vibration behind each number. And if you ever need a message from your angels, you can ask them to reveal numbers to you. And you might be driving somewhere and you'll see 999 or a number showing up on a car plate or a receipt or whatever.
Right.
And I found that these numbers, when they start to appear regularly, actually have a clear message from the angels to us, giving us the answer. And I found that in every moment we ask for help, they always have an answer. We just have to be willing to hear it. And so they started using numbers to get in touch.
Okay. I think that's simple. It's symbolic. It's easy. Immediately you've got a memory plastered. Okay, I saw this number 4444. And again, as you were talking and you're saying that the sequence there of I got the divine message of the 1111, my numbers on my little counter are going 44444. Okay, so I had to look it up. You are surrounded by 100,000 angels. Miracles are happening before your eyes. That's the 444. Okay, so that is so consistent with you. Anytime you have a sentence that is really profound, that 444 for this right now is just like a big neon sign. So Kyle, wow. I'm just like, wow, I'm so lucky. I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing, and this has been so fun to talk with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just everywhere I go, I just have moments of confirmation. And that's the thing I always like to say when I have the opportunity to speak to an audience is that if you believe in angels, of course they're going to send you a sign. Like, that's what we want to do. We want to remind you that you're not alone, that you're on the right path, and that help is available to you in every given moment.
Absolutely. Plug in. And if in doubt, Google.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I appreciate your time. And for people to get the book, it's simple. Angel Numbers. You can Google it, or you can go to Kyle's website. Kyle, your website real quick.
kylegray.co.uk.
Got it. Okay. Hay House book. All right.
Praise up to Buffy. Thank you.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer rocks. Okay. That was one of my favorite shows. I got to get out of here. And whatever you're doing over the holidays, check in just with whomever is super, super important in person and say, it's great to be here. By the way, you've got angels on your side, and you could give them an angel number message. 1. Got it? See ya.
When things feel a bit chaotic, Instacart helps deliver milk and sausage. Add a little life to your cart. Get stuff from literally all your stores, from baby wipes to albacore. Add a little life to your cart. Instacart helps get your groceries. Your first 3 deliveries are free.
Download Instacart. Add life to cart. Terms apply.
We get our weekly groceries delivered through Instacart because once football season starts, game time is family time. I can get everything my family needs for the week, from reliable staples to specialty ingredients, all delivered right to my door in as fast as 1 hour. So I can stay on my game without missing a minute of the game. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply. Instacart. Add life to cart.